I find myself fascinated by the Japanese concept of Ikigai, which basically is your purpose for existing. It's similar to the French raison d'être, which is your reason for existing, but within Ikigai itself is also the concept of discovering your Ikigai. So the idea is you're not born with it, you don't know it by default. You have to kind of explore, hunt, try things out, and discover it over time. So it means that Ikigai is kind of an active process of discovery, an active process of learning and curiosity. And for many of us, it can take decades to get there. And that's actually just part of the fun and the fulfillment of it. And you may have seen those Venn diagrams of, something that you like to do, something you can get paid for, something that helps the world, and so on. I think it's like five different circles. And at the center, the intersection of those circles is your Ikigai. So for each of us, it's a different thing, and it might even be something that hasn't even been invented yet, right? Think about some of the earliest live streamers before that was really a popular thing. That was their Ikigai, and they had to discover it by pioneering a completely new field. In a similar way, you can't predict what yours will be. It might involve something brand new, but it will often, I find, be in alignment with something you enjoyed as a child, or something that really has an affinity with your personal interests and curiosity. Some of your special interests might be, mechanical or people related or scientific or technical or artistic. So, really exploring those hobbies and doing more of that can help you narrow it down. And then, in terms of figuring out how to monetize it, you can look at successful professionals in the field. You could also figure out, how can I document this? How can I educate people about it? How can I share around it in such a way, like create content around it in such a way that people would find it interesting and follow along? Because I think content creation really is the most neutral way of monetizing any kind of purpose, simply because it can be done with anything. You could create content, there are people who teach guitar, there are people who do it about woodworking, there are people who make science videos. There's really no limitation. It is the most flexible way to turn something that you love to do into something that scales across the entire internet, which is basically the whole world. And only more and more people are going to get connected to the internet as time passes. Other than content creation, it could also be like one on one coaching. It could be creating art of some kind. It could be writing a book, which I guess is also content creation. But ultimately, we don't necessarily live in a modern era that has, patrons of past who would fund artists. So it can be hard to get funding for something that might be purely artistic or, hard to create a tangible benefit for someone. But there's always creative ways. You just have to find the right outlet, the right connections. But yeah, I think Ikigai is a really important concept for people to understand simply because otherwise you can feel like adrift and lost, like you're just floating without a reason. Whereas once you find your Ikigai, you have a reason and suddenly life takes on a new meaning. I'm still in the process of discovering mine, but again, I think the journey has value of its own. So yeah, let me know if you have found your Ikigai and what it is.